Hey guys, it's Uncle Doug. I'm today's the 30th, I guess, Sunday. I'm in the truck pulling a little trailer headed down about an hour away to a little town to buy a brush hog for the tractor. We had one we bought last year for cheap. It was used and it had been welded up and it just shot apart in pieces. We're probably trying to mow down stuff that's a little bigger than the thing could handle, but anyway, found another one and cheap, but it's an hour away in the boondocks, so I'm driving down to pick it up and we'll be able to start clearing some of the land. Now that the leaves are mostly gone, it's easier to start getting pasture cleared and tear up some of the little trees that are like, maybe thumb-sized or a little bigger with the brush hog. We got a finish mower, but it's just a finish mower. It won't cut through big stuff. And anyway, so I got about an hour to kill, and I wanted to lament to you a little bit about how hard it is for leaders to do what they need to do when demons are constantly assaulting people closest to them to just be critical and sometimes just vicious or heartless. We've been going through a season here where it just seems like everybody is armchair quarterbacking me on everything, and that if you're not American or you don't know, that's an American football term, but it just means second guessing everything. It's like the guy sitting and watching TV and says, oh, the quarterback shouldn't have thrown that pass. But he's never played football. The guy, he's just sitting in his chair after the fact saying what a mistake this was or that was or whatever. And I may not have a clue what he's talking about, but he's quick to judge and tell professionals what they're doing wrong. I think there's a human nature to kind of do that, but there's also a demon that jumps on people after the fact that is quick to tell them, it should have that could have been better if they did it this way, or it would have been better if I'd have done it instead of letting him do it, or what was he thinking, or whatever. I tell Cindy, if God ordains two people to be together, every day Satan is going to find something to try to use to bring division and keep pounding and pounding a wedge between them. And if God put you together, then any voice, I don't care if it's a demon or your flesh, any voice that whispers a word of dissension should be immediately rebuked and renounced and put away with prejudice. Because it's not God. If God put you together, any voice that wants to say, well, this is too hard, or you threw your socks on the floor again, or whatever, no, automatically rejected. And I think it's the same with the ministry, where God is sending people to be a part of something and to build something, and then they get here, tell me how wonderful the videos are, how much they've been touched, how much they've grown, whatever, and then all of a sudden start second guessing stuff. It wasn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be this Christian utopia where nobody sinned and everybody was always loving to one another, and everybody did their own dishes, and the toilet paper never ran out, and whatever. And of course it's not. Of course it's not. These are a bunch of people that are not 100%, because there aren't people that are 100%, and that are trying to get along. Rubbing on each other is part of the thing. How many times people talk about iron sharpening iron? But man, do you really want to be the iron? It makes a horrible noise, sparks sometimes, it gets hot, chunks get ripped off. Do you want to be the iron that's actually being sharpened against another iron? I don't know. I don't know. People talk tough, and then when it comes right down to it, they whine. Personally, I've had people attack me on YouTube that were here, that cried with me, prayed with me, that I prayed, Lord, whatever I have, give it to them, fill their cup. They started hearing God better, and then they go home and they make some video about this or that thing that's not salvific, that's not a primary issue, but they make it sound like it is, call us names, call us a cult, and whatever else, and because they didn't get enough attention when they were here, or I didn't spend enough time with them. And man, I got 1,000 comments on YouTube unanswered. People asking questions I can't get to. I don't even check my private message box on YouTube anymore. I just gave up on it. If you send me a message in the private, please don't be offended. I don't even open it. I can't possibly keep up. I check Facebook once a week, maybe. Man, I got emails. Oh, man. And then the people that are here, they feel like, I came all this way, I came out here, I should be, having breakfast with Doug every morning. Well, there's 30, 40, 50 people around here sometimes, and I can't keep up with the online stuff where I can impact lots more people than that. So the main thing, I want to have this video have some application to you and not just me. The reality is that when you set your hand to be a leader, to be a teacher, there are always going to be those that are trying to tear you down. Sometimes the members of your own family will try to kill you and think they're doing God a favor. That is a strong delusion. When your mom thinks God is going to thank her at the final judgment for treating you horribly because she's doing God's work, that is a strong delusion. And I don't know. I look at Moses. They were constantly whining. His own family was jealous of him. The people were backstabbing him. And God was defending him. And he had to go keep trying to run between them and the plague that was killing him and stop it because they grumbled or whined or talked against him or whatever. His own sister got leprosy instantly because God was mad at her. And Moses and Aaron prayed and begged and pleaded that she'd be let off the hook. I think that's Numbers chapter 12. Number 16, a whole bunch of the Levites come and say, how come you get to go into the tent of the meeting? How come you get to see God and we don't? How come Aaron is the high priest? Moses says, fine, bring your little tray with your incense. Whichever one the Lord accepts, he's the guy. And lightning comes out of the sky, fire from heaven, and kills all the whiners except Aaron. And the people are scared. Yet the next day they're blaming Moses for killing all the Levites. Paul constantly had these Judaizers coming around behind him, undoing his work, putting people back under law, and fomenting anger and whatever, until in Lystra they take him out of the city and stone him. Sometimes it happens because people's idolatry is exposed. In Lystra, the people are worshiping Paul and Apollos, and because they're healing people and stuff. And he's like, we're gonna build you altars and worship you as gods. He says, no, we're not gods. And they're like, hey, you told us you were gods. You tried to trick us. Let's stone them. So they take him out of the city and stone him because they're not gods. Oh, man. There's no winning. People are like, yeah, Doug, pound the pulpit, preach the fire, call people to repentance. We're running out of time. We gotta get about this. Except if you're on the receiving end of it locally, and then you're like, oh, Doug's mean, Doug's harsh, Doug's got one track thing, he won't stop talking about sin. Well, okay. Well, what do you think a prophet does? Why do you think they go live in caves? To get away from this kind of craziness. You know, man, it's a difficult thing to be used by God to call out people's sin all the time and then try to have friends. Because, you know, I don't know. The ones that get it will love you for it. Oh, boy, look at this mess. Oh, man, here we go. We got an accident up about a half mile ahead, and everything's dead stop now. Well, this is going to give me more time. So, I don't understand sometimes how people on YouTube especially, but other folks that I know too, and folks that aren't publicly vocal, but they're privately vocal, are so quick to call people names, call me names. And I'm like, you know, there's folks out there that I know that I don't agree with. Paul Washer's an example. Chris LaSala's an example. I don't agree with everything they're saying or doing, but they gave all they had for the poor, liquidated their lives, and committed everything to Jesus, are sensitive and weeping for the state of things, and hungry for the Lord to come back, and love Him with all their heart. So, what, I'm not going to give grace? I'm not going to give somebody some slack for doing a hard job that practically nobody's willing to do? I mean, I've known pastors and all my life. I've known seminary students, and, you know, I've been around all kinds of career ministers. But those guys are usually bivocational, or they go fishing, they have hobbies, they go hunting, they except for being a preacher, nothing's particularly different. They you know, could just easily be an accountant and their life would look about the same. Yeah, but man, the folks that have really surrendered all, they're really laying it all down for Jesus and giving Him all, how can I not cut them a break? How can I not give them some slack? You know, I've got videos about a bunch of leaders. What's wrong with Andrew Womack? What's wrong with Mike Bickle? What's wrong with this one or that one? And even so, I don't call them names and tell them they're fat and ugly and whatever. They're occultists, they're cult leaders, they're, whatever. I just try to point to the particular doctrine that I have an issue with, that I think people need to know is in play, that is wrong-headed. Because I want these people to open their eyes, say they're sorry, and then be useful again. Not to marginalize them so much that later on they can't ever be used for the kingdom. That the body will have to do without them because we have beat them to a bloody pulp and made so much fun of them that their reputation is forever tainted no matter what we do. No matter what they do. No matter what maturity or growth or whatever comes along. I didn't agree with Art Katz on everything. I don't agree with Dave Wilkerson on everything, and it doesn't matter. They were men of God, and I know that. And why we gotta be so hard, Love covers a multitude of sins. I guess. Unless you're a Christian shooting your own wounded, and then the love they showed for you, the care they showed for you doesn't count for nothing. It's weird. People come here and then something jumps on them and they decide I'm a jerk, but they're staying in our houses or eating from our food pantry. They never got cut off. I never told anybody, hey, oh yeah, you think I'm a jerk? Don't eat my food. We keep feeding them. We had a couple that was here that wanted to get out of here and put videos on YouTube saying, oh, please help us escape the crazy cult. We need $2,000 to go back to California. They were in our house on our computers, banned me from being in their house, which we rented. I could have pulled the plug on the internet. I could have anything. And fine, whatever. Just raise your money and go. And they did. And off they went in the night with our computers, our mixing board, a bunch of stuff that was ours, left us with some of their bills. Whatever. God can take care of it. But I see you. I don't know why love doesn't cover even the slightest little infraction. I don't understand. I don't work that way. I don't think in those terms, and I see the stuff people are doing that isn't quite right, or I wish they'd repent for, or I wish they'd quit doing, or whatever, and one of the things I've learned is that if you're going to give somebody advice, wait till they ask you for advice. Most people don't want to hear your advice. And if you are quick to go around giving advice, a lot of it's not going to be received at all, and you're going to do a lot of harm. So if the Lord says go confront this, okay, do that. If you're not hearing the Lord well enough, then wait till somebody asks you. Says, hey, did I do wrong in this circumstance? Or, whatever. Yeah, you did. Well, why didn't you tell me? You didn't ask. I think God is, a lot of times the same way. You can roll on for a long time. Roll on for a long time. Sooner or later, God will cut you down. Old Johnny Cash song. He gave invitations at the end of his concerts, and thousands of people gave their lives to the Lord. Interesting testimony. You ought to read up on Johnny Cash. I was thinking about doing a series of trivia videos with lyrics to some songs that are all about Jesus. and seeing if you guys could track down who wrote them, because I think you'd be surprised some of the people out there, some that stuck with it, some that didn't, that wrote some beautiful things about Jesus from the outside of the church looking in, and pretty amazing. Anyway, oh, stuck in traffic. I'm still a couple tenths of a mile from this accident, and then it should open up again. Anyway, thanks for listening. I don't want to do an hour-long video here, and but anyway, more later. Bye. Okay, so here's our old brush hog. The gears are stripped in the mechanism, and this whole side is ripped off all around here. The blade had come up and eaten a chunk of this before, but then there's a lip that's supposed to hang down that goes around to protect you from rocks throwing and stuff, and it all came off, and then lost track of it. But this whole armature here is in good shape. And anyway, so this is the one we just got. Here's James, and it's real heavy duty, and doesn't look to be anything but surface rust, and good blades, and a brand new mechanism and guts to the thing there, so that's good. And the problem is this weld here is broken. If you look right there, it looks like they dropped it on its head or something, because it bent this arm. A couple of welds there, a couple of welds here. So we're thinking we might get that one to fit here and save a lot of trouble and have a good solid thing, because that's pretty much scrapped now. So anyway, that's what we're working on, but these bolts are rusted on and maybe bent a little or something. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge to get them all off, but we're working on it. Anyway, more later. Bye.